think that silence in the room indicates you're ready for this to start, so let's get started. Good morning and welcome to this year's Hurley Sloan Symposium, Truth, Trust, and the First Amendment in the Digital Age. We're so pleased to welcome this audience here at the National Press Club, our viewers watching on C-SPAN, and those following us on Facebook Live on the pages of the Missouri School of Journalism, Missouri School of Law, and Reynolds Journalism Institute. I'm Barbara Cochran, the Curtis B. Hurley Chair in Public Affairs Journalism and Director of Missouri's Washington program, which brings students here for a semester to work and study in the nation's capital. Today's program is presented by the University of Missouri School of Journalism and School of Law, Mizzou Advantage, the Price Sloan Fund for Media Ethics and Law, the National Press Club Journalism Institute, the Reynolds Journalism Institute, and the Evelyn Y. Davis Foundation. So with that backing, how can we fail? In a moment, we're going to hear from these fine folks on stage in a discussion led by Larissa Lidsky, Dean of the University of Missouri School of Law. Say hello, please. And for now, though, I want to spend a few minutes laying the groundwork for today's conversation. And while I'm doing that, I want to encourage you to silence your cell phone in case you might have forgotten that. And also, we have some Twitter hashtags that you can use. They're displayed on the screen here. It's hashtag Hurley 2018, hashtag Truth, Trust, First Amendment. So if you feel moved to tweet, please use those hashtags. Today's symposium on the First Amendment and the challenges it faces could not be more relevant to our students' study of press freedom and to our very democracy. America's founding fathers believed an independent press was so vital to the functioning of a democracy that they specifically mentioned a free press as one of the 5 essential liberties guaranteed in the First Amendment. Today, more than 200 years later, the forces of digital technology, political polarization, social media, and the 24/7 news cycle are placing intense stresses on the role of the press in our democracy. At a time when the president calls the news media the enemies of the people, and when 77% of Americans think journalists make up stories at least occasionally, we have reached a critical point. Just in the past week, a television station group ordered the news anchors of its 191 stations in markets large and small across the country to broadcast identically worded commentary denouncing unnamed purveyors of fake news. A video mashup of dozens of those commentaries brought ridicule, but also raised fears for the loss of editorial control over local news. Also, in this past week, the president suggested that one of our most respected newspapers should register as a lobbyist for its owner, who has a totally separate role as the CEO of America's 12th largest company. And that was just this last week. But these incidents aren't happening in a vacuum, and they weren't created solely by the current resident of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. The credibility of American news media has been declining for more than 2 decades. Political divisions are affecting what people perceive as truthful and factual, and threats have been voiced for going back to the previous administration against the First Amendment protections of the press. With challenges ranging from questions about social media influence to scrutiny of libel law, we've gathered some of the finest legal scholars and best media attorneys who will kick off our first panel discussion in just a moment. Then after that, I'll lead the second panel of top Washington journalists to address these same concerns. And finally, at lunch, Floyd Abrams, one of the country's preeminent First Amendment attorneys, will be our keynote speaker. Before we begin with our first panel, though, I'd like to welcome all of the colleagues who have come here from the University of Missouri Journalism and Law Schools, traveled here from Columbia, for which we thank you very much to be with us today, and also the students who are here studying this semester. Could you all please stand and be recognized? Now, I want to give you a quick explanation of the name of the Hurley Sloan Symposium. The Hurley honors Curtis B. Hurley, an Arkansas newspaper editor who lent a promising young journalist named Ed McLaughlin $400 in order to attend the Missouri School of Journalism. Of course, this was in 1927, so $400 went a little further in those days. After McLaughlin became a successful publisher, he and his wife decided to endow a chair, the chair I hold at the journalism school, and to name it not for himself, but for his mentor, Curtis Hurley. This is the 7th Hurley Symposium I've produced here at the National Press Club, and I'm delighted to be doing so this year in partnership with the Missouri School of Law and the Price Sloan Fund for Media Ethics and Law. That fund was created in 2016 by Price Sloan, a 1988 graduate of the Missouri School of Law, and his wife, Carolyn Sloan. The fund supports a biennial symposium with a focus on issues in the areas of free speech, free press, media ethics and practice, and the First Amendment. Mr. Sloan is the Executive Vice President and Head of Acquisition Integration at Toronto Dominion Bank, better known as TD, and has had an extensive career in banking. He and his wife are with us today, and I'd like them to stand and be recognized.